Hello everybody. Once again, it's Captain Paxo from the future here, and this is my Lego the Hobbit restricted any percent PB. I'm still kind of, still kind of shaking that this run actually happened. This is an incredible run. As you can see from the title, 25 minutes and 57 seconds. So in this, I'm gonna just talk through kind of my thoughts and feelings throughout this run. Going into this run, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted from it, really. I've been doing some attempts for this game, but it's kind of been semi-grinding for PB, but also half making sure that my early game is particularly incredibly solid for the tournament, because I'm going to need the early game here. So you'll see I'm going quite risky in all the early game here, but what I was doing was once I got to kind of the end of the Necromancer, I was playing a lot safer and just trying to get runs through to the end from that point onwards. But kind of these first three splits, I was really going for a big aggressive time here. So the 1P2C here, I was I actually missed a jump there, which is quite slow. Normally you can grab both rails as a 121, but I managed a 122, which isn't too bad, but then I made it up pretty well with gem skip. The menuing's still a little bit slow there. That's something I need to work on. But as we then make our way through into this room, my main kind of timing that I look for this room is if I can end this room and go into the cutscene at about 3 minutes 20, then I'm doing pretty well. But there's kind of a lot of stuff here that can vary it. For example, not getting maybe as many resources as I would have liked there. I think I got like 2 or 3 wood and 1 rope, which meant with player 2 in this next part, I needed to get 2 wood and 1 rope, so I needed to break both the wood and the rope thing on the left with player 2. Which distracts me sometimes a little bit from what I'm doing with player 1. Luckily I was still able to get 3 perfect hits out here. And then make my way into the building, but yeah, that could have been a little bit risky. But as we go into the building itself, there was a bit of a sloppy first section of the build, but then I believe the second and third were really strong. Yeah, that second is about as good as a human's gonna get. The third, a little bit suboptimal, but not too bad. And then we go into the minings, and the mining I think is where this run kind of took off, because I've got 2 iron with both players on the first floor, so I went for a double perfect hit here. Got it with both characters, which is very nice. Then went down with player 1, because player 1 was closer to the gem, and got an absolutely dead center hit on the green. That was really satisfying to get. I think that's the smoothest gems I've ever got, because they were all difficult gems to hit and quick gems to hit as well. So to be able to get that was pretty nice. Then a relatively clean barrier skip. Could have been a little bit sharper if I'd done like 1 single jump over rather than taking 2 single jumps, but it doesn't lose too much time. And the stairs movement down was pretty good to go into this next 1P2C room. Again, on that cutscene skip, anything less than a 350 I was kind of taking through. This was a 346. So I was happily carrying this run through. I think this run was, or like, a 346 is probably on pace for about a 552, I want to say. That's not quite what I ended up with, because I had a little bit of slip up in this run. I say slip up, it was bad RNG with the buddy up. But we'll see that here. Got a good angle with player 2 there, so I was able to skip through to activate the statue pretty quick, but then you can see I'm struggling to get this vertical buddy up on player 1. And when the studs appear on that kind of slope, that's the first point where you can move forwards. So I probably lost about a second or so there, just being a little bit late for when the studs appear. But then I make it across here in a very solid 9 hover, which is what you like to see. Drop down, and from there gonna enter the auto scroller. And from where player 1 kind of jump dives into that trigger, it's about 51 seconds to the end of the level. I think it's 50 exactly from the jump dive. So about here I'm kind of looking at it thinking, okay, I'm on 53 pace. So this is a pretty good run. Let's see if I can keep it going for Looking for Proof. My goal is kind of just to get runs that are about a 9:30 exit from Looking for Proof. You can see I'm comparing against some of Gold's at the moment, some of Best. So I will be losing time in this split. But that's not to be, or that's not surprising, because you can't play perfect all the time. I mean, my Golds aren't perfect, but as actually you'll see later in this run. But yeah, we finished with a 5:53, and my thoughts here are all about bush launch. Because if I get a solid bush launch here, this is probably 9-1x kind of pace, Looking for Proof exit. If it takes me like 2, 3, 4 tries, then you're looking at a 9:20x. Anything more than that, and it's 9:30 and above, which I wasn't particularly fond of. But you can see we get the buddy up to bush launch and get the launch straight away. So I was thinking, okay, this is not only a really good pace for my Looking for Proof exit, this is also pushing Gold pace as well. So I was going pretty aggressive with the hovers here. That was a 4 hover. That's probably one of the weakest parts of the split for me. I need to look at having a consistent spot for where I start that hover, seeing if I can always make a 3 hover. I mean, getting a 4 hover there, that was the limit for where I crossed. But if you can make a 3, that's saving like 2 seconds. Maybe if you have to walk a bit further, a little bit less, but it's still not too bad. And then we make our way up on this outer bounce here. I'm actually buffer jumping a lot here. This is like a technique I've kind of learned to do because it makes walking up slopes a lot easier. So I'll kind of buffer jump on the flat and on the way up slopes. But on the way down slopes, I intentionally walk down because sometimes on down slopes you have a nice chance of getting boosted forward. I think I get a small one there, but it's not very noticeable. And then this river here, there's a triangle of land where everyone knows that's the only place you can buddy up from. But actually, if you walk just beyond it, you almost get like, it's like an edge jump in the LHP games, in the sense that if you stand there normally, you won't be able to spin, but because you've come from the ground where you can, you are able to spin. And using that, I was able to make the way across the river in 7 hovers. Got a weird launch on landing, I think because player 2 was elevated on landing. The game does some weird things with that. But this buddy up was by far the weakest. I over-rotated the camera and started from a slightly suboptimal place. So I think I had to take, I think this is 7 hovers, 8. I think that was a 9 hover to get across. Optimally, you can also do that one in 7. But then lining up for the trigger now. Just missed the trigger there. Get it second try. So my YOLO setup didn't work, but my actual setup did. And then we have the inside, really quick jump dive with Radagast, and followed it up with a nice one from Gandalf as well. So the inside was pretty near optimal for the one-player strats that I do. So we're gonna end here. And I suddenly realised, okay, this is golding. Because I'm ending with 0 studs, the status screen takes, I think, about 12 seconds from when it appears. Without 0 studs, I think it takes 15 to 16. So that was actually 3.5 second gold. Not only was that a 3.5 second gold, that was 0.4 off of community gold, which is the best anyone's ever done. That level. Of course, that's held by the hamster at the moment because the hamster's just insane at this game. But that being said, I think this run was, at this point, only a second behind world record. I might be wrong on that. Yeah, or it's either a second behind world record or it's a second behind the best exit ever out of Looking for Proof, which is ridiculous pace. Of course, I didn't know this at the time. I was just thinking, okay, that's pretty solid. Best exit I've ever got. Let's just keep this pace going. Yeah, my best exit previously was a 9:21. Of course, because I'm comparing to gold, you can't see that. But to be able to end Looking for Proof with a 9:12 was really good. And then I'm going to be setting up for Fog Skip here. Fog Skip is annoying and tough. Actually, no, it's not. It's not too bad. I think I had a run yesterday, which was, I think it was a run where I got my 9:21 exit, which I actually missed Fog Skip on, and that's the first time I've missed it in a while. I've been also struggling a little bit, sometimes dying on the second jump here. But this is how it went to my PB. The birds take me up. And then I get the jump onto the wall, which is really important. And then take a death, which is really unfortunate. But I get the respawn up top, and then I'm able to go into the trigger. That death probably cost about 5-6 seconds. So it's not the best thing you want. And then this one P2C, actually really good for me. If I'd got the bush jump with player 1 a little bit better, obviously it would have been a better split, but even so, that's still pretty strong for kind of my gameplay. And into the Azog fight. So yeah, as I was saying at the start, I'm kind of in two minds with how I have been approaching runs for this, because I've wanted a PB, and a PB would have been nice, but I've also been mindful that I don't want to go completely all out. I want to have consistency for tournament practice. So I guess it's kind of been like low reset runs once I get out of what I class as the early game, which is the end of this level, before you go into late game. But actually I did manage to get a PB yesterday, so I think you'll see at some point, maybe in the auto scroller, I actually flick to a different comparison quickly, and that comparison is my PB. My PB is was a 26:36. Unfortunately, I'm not able to submit that to the leaderboards because, although I recorded the run, I didn't have audio, which was completely my fault. But of course, that means it can't be verified. But as we go into the fight itself, I pick up all the studs on the floor. That's just kind of my habit. I think it's a good habit to get into. And also, you'll notice a new thing I've done as well is I start jump attacking all the orcs rather than regular trying to attack them, because the targeting on the wizards is awful, so when I need to kill an orc I will jump attack at it. Also, something I was very careful of in this run is once the debris falls to build the statue, I'm actually looking at where those pieces land and standing near where there's kind of a large gathering of them, because in doing that it's much easier to be able to build instantly. Because if you're not able to build when you press B, both wizards decide it's a good idea to put their shields up instead, which could be quite annoying. And then regular zero stud shenanigans as you like. Not really much to talk about with this, to be honest. I mean, the second phase is starting now, but the second phase is on a timer anyway. I could literally be dying right up until the blue hand spawns, and it wouldn't be a problem at all, as long as I can get my shield up in time. I'm also intentionally positioning a little bit closer with player 1. That doesn't make any difference in terms of how quickly the hand falls on you, but it makes a big difference in terms of knowing that it's going to be on player 1, because that way I can release my shield on player 2 a lot earlier, and that means player 2 was able to run in a good position to be able to build the statues. There was a weird little glitch from Gandalf there where he tried to attack the statue right at the end. I'm not sure if that can be used for anything. The moment I saw it, I effectively just dropped all inputs with Gandalf, and the level continued through as normal. And I think I was looking at the timer at about this point and realizing I'm actually on really good pace for a gold in this split as well. Normally I say it takes about 45-50 seconds for the last phase, and at the end of the last at the end of the previous phase, English isn't happening, but no, at the start of the last phase I was I think I saw like 15-20 on the timer. So I was thinking, okay, this is good. Unfortunately, I missed the build first time, which cost me a handful of seconds. But I was still able to get 0 studs. And then I'm looking at the timer now thinking, okay, I got 0 studs. This is incredibly good for me. And this is going to gold. And indeed it did, another 4.8 second gold. That was very smooth, actually. I was very happy with that. But from here, things kind of went downhill a bit. So there was the second try buddy up for Icicle Launch. And then instead of getting the buddy up, I accidentally switched character to Bilbo, which means Dwalin fell all the way back down. And I wasn't able to save it in time, so I had to redo Icicle Launch. And I think this was a third try buddy up. Yeah, so overall in that sequence, I lost about 25-30 seconds. Probably 25. But I managed to get it eventually, and then make my way over to on the doorstep level itself. And the on the doorstep level itself, I'd said before the run that I was going to play safe strats, and that's exactly what I did. So I wasn't even going to try and contend with fast OTD. I was just going for the backup, because that's likely what I'm going to be doing in the tournament. The only person that I've seen make fast OTD work so far, I think, is Laser. So I'm not too bothered if I don't go for it. So you can see I fell down a little bit there. The jumping wasn't quite optimal, but I mean, it's difficult when you're trying to jump blind. Yeah, this is by far my weakest split in the run, but I do get the camera pan skip here, which was very nicely done, and I'm thinking there's a chance I could get 0 studs here. Unfortunately, I pick up 2 golds there. You need less than 1k with Dwalin, and the strats I was doing, I was guaranteed another 220 studs. So at that point, I know 0 studs is off, which is unfortunate. But I can still be on a decent pace out to this level. I won't be anywhere near golds anymore. At this point, I was kind of thinking, am I still going to be able to PB? Beat my 26-36. Thankfully, I got a first try horizontal body up here. A little bit slow on the spin launch. That needs a little bit of work. And then just to practice a 0 stud strat, or know where the 0 stud strat is, I was dying over here. That doesn't actually save any time unless you can get down to absolute 0. But it's good to know where it is, because that's something I will start implementing in my runs. But I'm going to finish up the level, and all I'm watching here is I'm watching that best possible time take a hike up through the 26s. And it's painful to watch, because it just this felt like it dragged on for a while, and I finished 25.8 behind golds, I think. And then, as you see, immediately I switched to my PB comparison, because I'm thinking, okay, PB's still on, but I am competing against the gold. So, yeah, essentially I needed a insanely clean final level to get a good PB. I needed a good final level to get a beat my leaderboard PB 26:49. But I needed a really good PB or really good final level to be able to push this 26:36. And so far, or the start of it was quite smooth. I could have got up the ladder a little bit earlier. This was a bad mistake from me, getting Bilbo stuck on the lantern thing. So player 2 actually came all the way round to activate the trigger. That was actually quite a sizable time loss. We're talking like 3, 4, 5 seconds maybe. So wasn't great there. But then get this spin. This spin, not great either. The nerves are definitely kicking in here. You can see fall down, get the respawn. That was a very frustrating moment. And then I was like, well, I'm going to have to play the rest of this completely out of my mind to try and get a PB. Because I probably lost kind of close to the 18 seconds that I was going to lose, and that's even before launches. Or that I could lose even before launches. Probably not the 18 seconds, but I've lost like a solid 10 from that death, I'd say. As we now go into Chandelier Skip. I was actually kind of hoping here. I had it in my previous PB where Barlin actually gets launched over this first axe plate, but I didn't get it here. But I did get good piece RNG in the sense that none of them came into the gap here. And then a nice one-player Chandelier Skip. I think if I'd missed it that first time, I would have backed up and gone for the 2-player Chandelier Skip instead. But that was still not too bad. I think that was much better than much better than my gold here, which had maybe a third try. I want to say third try, but it might have been second. So we make our way into the unskippable cutscene here, and I looked at the time for the cutscene hit. The time for the cutscene hit was a 22:10, and I think my PB was a 22:40. I want to say it was. It might have been 22:40 or 22:30. Kind of for. Oh, my target for most runs is 22:30 to hit that. Oh no, sorry, 23 to hit that trigger. If I can hit that trigger consistently at a 23, that means I'm going to be on low 27 pace for most of the time, which I will definitely take in the tournament and the ESA as well, because ESA is not too far away now. It's, I think, 2 weeks and 3 days or something. Maybe a bit more. My run's on the 12th. And my maths isn't great. Yeah, I think it is 2 weeks and 3 days. But yeah, that'll be quite hype. Going over to Sweden. We'll also hopefully be able to do some fun runs with Lost Origin and Bloodborne as well. Just for a laugh. But yeah, that should be a good event. And we'll get to see John as well. But back to the run now. My thoughts were, okay, I need this to be pretty clean. All I can do is get my movement as good as possible and then place myself in the hands of good launchers. But I absolutely nailed the setup for this first launch and got an immediate first launch. And I was thinking, okay, this could be good. Second launch, I'm going for a slightly different second launch now. I'm not going all the way round to the side. I'm breaking the buddy up there and doing a half inbounds, half out of bounds launch. And, I mean, look at the height on that. On 60 FPS, that kind of height is just ridiculous. And from there, able to hit the cutscene trigger. I mean, that's an amazing kind of new launch that's just been found, or just been implemented, I'd say. Apparently it was found a while ago by Hamster, but it's been implemented very recently. and from here just doing the 1P2C. I can't remember how much I was shaking at this point, but it was a decent amount. I was suddenly thinking, okay, this is good. This not only has the potential to PB, this has maybe a slight glimmer of hope at being a 25 as well. But I needed to absolutely full send the throws, which is what I did. So I was alternating my throws, and kind of just about as one torch would hit, I'd throw the next torch with the other player, saving a few seconds. Oh, well, it doesn't really save a few seconds. It saves barely any time, but it is incredibly useful. And then getting the drop out and the drop back in with player 2 before we go into the last room. And this last room was just awesome. Like, I think this was pretty much as perfect as it could have gone for restricted. One buddy up, and we go. And I could not believe it at this point. And then we get to the end, and we finish it off with actually what looks like a 56. And yeah, it was an absolutely mad run. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll leave you with my final thoughts as I finished. Let's go, baby. Oh my god, that run was insane. A 9-12 exit as well. If I'd gone for first OTD and got Icicle Launch first try, this would have pushed Hamster's run. Oh my god. Let's go, dude. I'm so happy with that. GG.